and success. Milton Williams got a raise. Josh Sweat got a raise. Zach Bond got a raise. Who else? But Barkley got a raise. Every player. Isaiah Rodgers got a raise. Who else? Orton Burks got a raise. And the only guy that got demoted on a paycheck was a guy who was a leading receiver in the postseason for the Eagles, and that was Dallas Goedert. You got it. Hey, kudos to Howie. This is how you kick the hell out of a kid in his contract talks. This is how you beat the shit out of somebody. Hey, we don't think you're a $14 million guy. You want to come back? You come back how we want you. Yeah, but didn't I help you win? I don't care. That's pretty ballsy. Let's bring in Angelo. Get his thoughts. By the way, Cowboys September 4th. Oh, my God. This was made for Jeffrey Lurie. September 4th, Cowboys.
Wow.
How do you see that whole thing with Dallas Goedert and how he was dealt?
Yeah. By the way, you're totally ruining my buzz. I've been happy. I was at the meat store today, and the meat guy, the butcher, was telling me we were talking about the Eagles and Cowboys opening up here on Thursday night to start the NFL season. We're all happy here, and now you want to tick me off with this Dallas Goedert story because it's outrageous. And you left one guy out, all right? And I know I'm always looking for a way to rip him, but how about Mr. Culture, right? How about the head coach not going to bat for a guy who made him a champion last year? One of the key ingredients of the championship. Where's Sirianni now to say, hey, no, don't screw over one guy in the whole organization? You're going to screw one guy over because you think he's over. First of all, I don't think he's overpaid anyway. I don't even buy that. This has been a bizarre offseason, and that's the latest example of it. I'm in the Goddard camp on this. He got screwed, and it sows the seeds of discontent.
Holy cow. Well written, Ernest Hemingway, Angelo Cataldi. I love this as we move on. And so wait a minute. Have the Eagles gotten better anywhere this offseason?
Not well. They certainly didn't get better defensively. They lost half their starters, so it can't be there. Offensively, Becton was a great run blocker. He's gone. Did they add anything there? No, not really, right?
No.
So I would say no. And they lost their punt returner. So I would say they didn't get better anywhere. They didn't.
How about this one, though, Angelo? So the first pick in the draft may not be ready for half the season. Nakobe Dean may not be ready for the start of the season in September. I mean, hey, wait a minute. Right. Now you're making me feel like I'm just picking stuff out of the air here to kind of like clobber these guys. But I'm trying – I mean, February 9th was only 89 days ago, and I'm already talking like, okay, so the guy you drafted is not going to play for you maybe till half the season. And then your starting linebacker's not going to play, and you lost 4 other stars. Like you said, bizarre.
You gave me news. I didn't know Dean wasn't coming back to the start of the season, but I kind of suspected it yesterday when there was a stiff breeze, because that's usually all it takes to get him injured, all right? That guy is made out of tissue paper, all right? Don't get me started at Kobe Dean. No, the thing is, Dan, all of it is, here's the irony of this whole story. It's kind of by design. They got to the end of the year. The most telling remark made in the whole Eagles offseason was when Howie Roseman said, I'm not going to do the same thing I did after we won in 2018. I'm not going to, out of sentiment, bring the team back. I'm going to make hard, cold decisions. And there went half the defense. And this is not a rest. Look, I'm not saying it can't work, because it can. The guy's been rolling sevens for a long time now. He's been phenomenally on a great run. But this is not a recipe to repeat. This is not a recipe to repeat your championship, especially with the schedule that's going to come out on Wednesday. People are going to look at that schedule, and they're going to get woozy, Dan. because they got killer schedule this year, 10 times harder than last year. So I don't. I'd be shocked if they are going to get close to repeating based on what I've seen this offseason.
Absolutely. And for the record there, Angelo, they're got the 4th hardest schedule in the National Football League before it's even determined on where they end up landing there. Speaking of stiff, Sirianni, this contract, I mean, I don't know when they're going to give it to him here, but
never, please.
Angelo, someone asked me, what is the number one job he does? And I'm like, what's his biggest thing? I'm looking for an impact on the team. And is it a problem that they have? How do they value him? Like, do you believe the Philadelphia Eagles would still be in the same position if Nick Sirianni wasn't the head coach?
Maybe better. I told you, I don't think he's any good. All right. I told you that before. You want to have some fun with this? I'm going back to my days when I was on the air. I would have made this a poll question of the day. Who had more of an impact on the championship last year, Nick Sirianni or Dallas Goedert? Because, see, Dallas Goedert just got a pay cut. Now you want me to take $7 million a year Sirianni's making, and you want to double that for that jackass? No way. Damn. No. Goddard did more to win the championship last year than Sirianni did. So following the Goddard model, Sirianni, I wouldn't even give him, I wouldn't extend him. He's got another year. Let him play out the year. Let me see him do this again. Because he can't. I just told you that this guy is supposedly the guy that makes everything bond together in the locker room. He watches Goddard get screwed, doesn't do a damn thing about it. So what's he doing? What is he doing?
You bring up an amazing point here about Nick Sirianni not defending anybody. It's funny. He didn't defend Sean Desai or Brian Johnson or any of those guys. And here's a guy here in Dallas Goedert who he talks about all glowing. And then they turn around backhand and they tell the guy and they give him a pay cut. I mean, at the end of the day, when all the media people keep telling me that all the players love him and love playing for him, how can you love somebody that doesn't stand up for you or defend you when it comes to losing your job as a coordinator or when it comes to looking for defending your players? And for the record, I want to throw this at you here. This guy reminds me a lot of George Seifert. Seifert won 2 Super Bowl championships when he was in San Francisco. And get this, Angelo, he was 100 wins and 30 losses and had numerous NFC title games with those Cowboy teams and 2 Super Bowl wins. He goes to Carolina, years removed from that. When he was in Carolina, he was 16-22, and everyone looked at him and went, oh, I get it. It was the team. This guy's a modern-day George Seifert.
That's why I come on here. That's brilliant. That's amazing. Because I honestly thought we were seeing something we'd never seen before. But you're right. Seifert came along, inherited a great roster, made the most of it. They plugged along for a while, won a couple of Super Bowls. And then you saw what he really was. I could be wrong. How wrong was I last year? No one could be a bigger idiot than I was last year.
Yeah, but I think that team, Angelo, would be where they were with or without him.
Well, it's a great comparable because you're right that Seifert got en masse when he left. And if I would think at this point Sirianni would take a pay cut before he would leave this situation, because you listen to him talk, he knows he's not that smart. Smart people, they act smart. He's not smart. All right? Again, anybody that acts like that big a boob on the sideline is not smart. The reason that Goddard didn't get defended, the reason that the coach prevented this from happening is that the coach was brought here to be a yes man. And the one word he knows in the presence of Howie Roseman and Jeff Lurie is yes. So if they go to him and go, we're going to cut Goddard down to $10 million or whatever we're going to give him, and he'll go, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I agree with you, sir. Yes. Can I have my extension now? Is that possible? We'll get to you. Relax. I will. Whatever you say. That's him. That's him, Dan. That's what you're dealing with. Buddy won a championship now. So we gotta build a statue for him. No.
All right.
No.
I got to ask you to help me out on how to prepare for this. Cowboys are the opener. The week coming up of that September 4th game, and the buildup for this for Angelo would be how and what would the buildup be for this thing?
Well, I wrote about this on my blog today because people have to fully understand this is the greatest rivalry I have experienced in my lifetime. I grew up in New England, Yankees, Red Sox.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
This is bigger. And the reason it's bigger is there's more passion attached to it. And in this blog, I tell a story that's in my book about this guy named Chainsaw who came in. We had a 15-hour pregame show before an Eagles-Cowboys game in 1992. It was Monday Night Football. We started it at 6 in the morning, and we went till kickoff at 9 p.m. I did 7 of the hours myself. All right. Wow. And what happened was in the final hour, when everybody was drunk out of their minds, remember, this is Veterans Stadium. This is 700 level. And some jackass came in carrying a Troy Aikman doll. It was an inflatable doll with Troy Aikman's jersey on it. And he's waving it around. There's 1,000 people pressed against each other in the tent, screaming, Eagle cheers, people going nuts. All of a sudden you hear, "Rrr." He cranks a chainsaw, right? And this genius there is going to decapitate the inflatable doll by severing the head with a chainsaw. Now,
I don't know why I'm laughing.
This is not a great plan because the moment that the chainsaw hits the inflatable doll, the doll's going to explode.
Yeah.
And the chainsaw is going to go flying.
Yeah.
Well, he's got a guy holding his cousin. Dominic Yanni was the guy. His cousin's holding the inflatable doll. And this guy Chainsaw, I never got his actual name. I don't think he knew enough not to get it. Right? He goes right for the throat with the chainsaw. And the second it hits it, the doll explodes. The chainsaw goes flying, catches his cousin on the wrist. The only reason it doesn't sever the entire hand off the guy's arm is that it got caught. It got stuck in the doll, and right? But blood everywhere, right? Yeah, this is the passion of Philadelphia against the Cowboys. This guy's got blood all over it. It's falling all over people. And
where was this?
This was in a huge tent, our pregame show before the Eagles-Cowboys game.
In the lot?
What's that?
In the lot? In the lot there?
On the steps of the Spectrum.
Yeah.
Right there. All right. So now there's blood everywhere. This is before, you couldn't do this stuff.
Yeah.
Lawyers, right? And this guy, his cousin, rather than, people gave him towels, he's wrapping it with a tourniquet. He holds up a blood-stained towel and gets a massive ovation. And then he and the chainsaw guy, I don't know what happened to the chainsaw. God knows they may have tried to get into Veterans Stadium. And they leave to a hero's goodbye. Like the guy had done something amazing.
This is Cowboy Week.
Cowboy Week. It's always like that. That people try to top themselves. What would I do this week? I may try to replicate that feat. I may go, do I have, there's always somebody willing to try. Go, somebody out there with a chainsaw and I don't know, maybe an inflatable doll. Would you like to try this again? Of course, the lawyers now would stop me long before we ever got to it.
But Angelo, why is it? Why? When I grew up, I always thought it was Giants and Eagles.
Yeah, no. It's this. the Stetson hat, Tom Landry. Yeah, Buddy Ryan did a lot of things to make
arrogance. Is it the arrogance of Cowboy fans? Is that?
Yes, it was arrogance, and in the '90s, success. They were really
absolutely.
good.
Yeah,
they were really good. All right, and that just kind of, and then Buddy played into it. Buddy Ryan played into it totally. He ran up the score one game. You know, he refused to
body bag game.
Yeah, the scab game. It's got so much history. Here's another thing. I'm not lying. I've seen this. Many children in our Philadelphia, their first words were not mama or dada. They were Dallas sucks. Dads would, you know how some dads, they play like a concerto near the baby bump so that the baby, as the baby is developing, it has this great, they whisper, Dallas sucks, right into the woman's navel. Dallas sucks. Dallas sucks. And I'm telling you, Dan, it's a rite of passage here. It's pride. When your kid is saying Dallas sucks, you feel pride, even though technically it's kind of a slur. You shouldn't be saying it. Not in our town. They hate the Cowboys. And that's why this is the perfect way to start a season. Now, as my butcher pointed out to me today,
yeah.
Oh my God. If the Eagles were to lose at home, the opener of the Cowboys, bad karma. Can't lose. It's a must win. The first game after you won a Super Bowl is a must win for the Eagles.
Do you think that this is a crazy take by me? I said by week 10, Kevin Patullo is going to have his play calling duties taken from him, and Nick Sirianni is going to be the play caller after. I know what you're thinking.
If they lose, all bets are off. You understand? First of all, the city will turn on them. The city that just had a parade with 2 million people will go nuts if they lose the opener to Jerry freaking Jones. What, are you kidding me? No, can't happen.
Wait a minute. So, Angelo, you're telling me all the goodwill will go away?
All of it.
If the Cowboys beat them in the opener on September 4th, they'll act like they don't even remember February 9th.
You got to understand, the Eagles beat the Cowboys by a composite score of 75-13 last year. The Eagles going into that game, I'm guessing here, but will be a more than a touchdown favorite.
14 points for sure.
14. All right, 14. You're going to lose at home? This is getting the rings, the whole schmear with where the champs. You flaunt it right in front of Jerry Jones's face up in the luxury box, or one of his 10 uplifted faces, the facelift stuff, whatever. I'm telling Dan, this ups the ante fantastically. This is a gift. If I was on the air, I'd be sending a thank you note to Roger Goodell saying, wow, thanks. I don't have to work to get this season going. That's beautiful.
Angelo, I know you have this on your blog too, and this is the last one here. I got to tell you, maybe I'm just the last of you guys because you guys inspired me in how to do a show. But I watched Daryl Morey make this so-called circus tour around all the radio stations, and I have never in my life seen a softer media people never have follow-up questions to go, well, wait a minute. Isn't it time to move off of Joel Embiid and start to prepare for the future? Surely whatever you think you do tonight, you get the kid from Duke. What does that do for me when you're talking about Paul George and Joel Embiid being injured? I mean, nobody follows up with questions like, bro, you told us they were a top 5 talented roster last year. You guys were the bottom of the league when it came to wins. I can't believe they're just letting that guy parade around town and not ask him any questions.
It's all of our sports now, all 4 of them. Rob Thompson was not held accountable for blowing the playoffs last year. No one held him accountable in our city. The media has gone super soft. And whenever I see it, and I try to avoid it now, Dan, I think of the people that I got to watch in awe of their journalistic instincts when I came to this city. Stan Hochman, Mark Wicker, John Shulian, these were Bill Livingston, right? I mean, these guys were hardcore, tough questioning journalists. And now basically you got an extension of the PR department in all four of our teams. All four teams now, no one ever asks a hard question. And if they do, you can hear them almost trying to answer it, almost giving the answer that will be less damaging to the people. That's not the way it works. Now, again, I'm probably a dinosaur. Maybe that's the way it does work now in this new gentle media atmosphere we have. But it would never be that way for me. I learned real journalism. I went to a real journalism school. I was taught how to ask the hardest questions because those are the questions the fans want asked. They want to know what they're really thinking. They don't want anybody kissing Daryl Morey's ass. Daryl Morey is a disaster in Philadelphia, and he should be treated as one on those rare opportunities where they get a chance to do it. But they won't. They're all afraid of him.
But Angelo, let me ask you this: do you think it's also because the organizations have found out that they can bully these journalists now, where before those guys were not in fear of losing their jobs because the companies had your back more and they were going to stand tall with you more. Exactly. So now the companies, isn't it more the companies have set the environment for the media peoples not to do their job? Because, if I have a problem with a guy that's sitting down there with like a Marcus Hayes, I'm not going to go to Marcus Hayes. I'm going to go to Marcus Hayes' boss at the Inquirer and go, hey, I don't want this guy in here. Now you're affecting that guy's livelihood. You're not going to do that the next time if you're a reporter, are you, Angelo? Because accessibility is how you're getting paid nowadays.
Well, I did it. I did it repeatedly. My job was threatened by the Eagles when I was at WIP early on. When we had a business partnership, we were the flagship station, and they sent a letter to the commissioner saying, "Stop this guy. He's too critical." That guy. No, but you experienced it yourself.
Absolutely.
When you were considered too critical, the Eagles front office called your boss.
Yes, he did.
This is and the only reason that you are still doing real journalism, this is journalism, what you're doing, is because your boss backed you and you refused to back down.
That's right.
A lot of people now would rather back down than risk losing their job. But that's why people like you, that's why I love coming on your show, because you represent to me the old guard, the way it was done when it was done right. And if these people are asking pussy-ass questions, which so many of them are, the fans should recoil and not accept it. You should, if you're hearing that, turn the station, rip up the newspaper if you're still getting that, delete it from your website, get rid of it, because frankly, that's not journalism. That's public relations. There's a guy named Dave Spadaro who's called the Eagles Insider. He's done that for 30 years. He's now tougher on the Eagles than some of the people covering them. And he works for them. I mean, come on. Guys, wake up and do your freaking job. And if you don't want to do it, let's get somebody in who does.
Absolutely. That's why you go to his blog. That's why you check his book out. That's why we go to him all the time, our friend. So, Angelo, if you change your number now, 7 wins, 5 wins, 8 wins.
I got to see. Don't rush me. I have to see this.
Angelo, thank you, my friend. I appreciate it, brother.
It's always great, Dan. It's always great, buddy. Take care.
My friend, Angelo Cataldi. Make sure you check out his blog and all. All right, folks, all good here. Tell you about my friends at Morgan & Morgan, the #1 injury law firm in America. Folks,